Welcome to the learning module, Building Your Team and Working with Subrecipients and Contractors. Before we begin, let me introduce myself. My name is Devin Underwood, and I'm a subject matter expert with the University of Arizona Center for Innovation, supporting startup founders and forming teams and boards and developing best practices to get things done through teaming. I'm an expert in analyzing current practices and shaping systems and solutions customized for each company's culture, processes, and resource capacity. I'm excited to share my knowledge and guide you through this learning module. Understanding how to collaborate with subrecipients and contractors to build your team effectively is essential because it ensures alignment, accountability, and clear communication for projects. In this module, we'll take you through teaming, defining a scope of work, and effectively working with contractors and subrecipients. By the end, you'll be equipped with practical tools and strategies to streamline collaboration and achieve your project objectives. Let's get started. First, some definitions. The U.S. Department of Energy, or the DOE, frequently releases funding opportunity announcements, FOAs, FOAs, to solicit applications for your projects that align with its mission to advance energy research and innovation. These FOAs provide grants or cooperative agreements to support various initiatives, from basic scientific research to large-scale demonstrations of emerging technologies. DOE FOAs are designed to advance energy technologies that improve national energy security, economic competitiveness, and environmental sustainability. FOAs may focus on clean energy technologies, energy efficiency, grid modernization, nuclear energy, carbon capture and storage, or advanced manufacturing, energy storage, and environmental remediation. Each FOA typically falls under one or more of DOE's program offices, such as the Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, EERE, the Office of Fossil Energy and Carbon Management, FECM, or the Office of Nuclear Energy, NE. FOAs and many other federal grants can be used to enhance your team. As the primary recipient of FOA funding, you can use some of the funding to enhance your team through contractors and/or adding subrecipients. Contractors are consultants with industry or technology expertise who can apply their expertise to your research or your technology development. Ahead of the FOA application, the contractor should provide their hourly rate and the estimated hours they will work on the project. This will then be part of the prime recipient's budget and the budget justification in the FOA application. An example of a contractor could be a utility consultant, a grid expert, engineering advisors, or project control. Subrecipients are organizations or institutions you need to partner with to advance your research or technology development. Ahead of the FOA application, they must provide a spreadsheet with cost details and budget justification, and this will become a line item in the prime recipient's full budget. Example of some subrecipients: the National Renewable Energy Lab or universities. Now let's talk about defining the scope of work. The first step in the process is to determine the work that needs to be done, to scope the work for each contractor and subrecipient while defining the deliverables and schedule. Other steps in the teaming process can be completed concurrently as you continue to formalize the full scope of work. Start with the first 5 steps in the scope of work. Number 1, define the project objectives and goals. Clearly identify the project's overall goals, what specific results or deliverable is needed. Define what's included and excluded from the project to avoid scope creep. An example of this: if you're hiring a contractor for a DOE-funded project, the objective could be to develop a prototype of a new energy storage system that meets specified performance criteria. Number 2, break down the project into key tasks and deliverables. Identify the key tasks or high-level components the contractor needs to perform, breaking them down in a way that can be understood, tracked, and executed. For each task, specify clear deliverables with deadlines. Deliverables are tangible outputs that signify the completion of a specific task, such as reports, designs, prototypes, or data sets. An example: for a contractor hired to add or enhance your development of a solar energy system, deliverables could include design of the solar panel subsystem, due by month 1, materials procurement and assembly, due by month 3, Final system testing and performance validation due by month 6. Number 3, establish performance standards and quality expectations. Define acceptable performance, including specifications, technical standards, or regulatory requirements. In other words, DOE energy standards. Describe the quality expectations and how the contractor will be assessed. Will there be inspections, reviews, or testing of deliverables? What criteria will be used to assess the success of each task? An example, a contractor building a piece of renewable energy system must meet performance standards for energy efficiency, safety, and durability. For instance, the panels should produce at least 300 watts of power under standard test conditions. Number 4, establish milestones and deadlines. Divide the project into measurable milestones that, if achieved as the project progresses, will ensure the contractor or the subrecipient is on track to meet the scheduled deadlines. Outline the start and the end dates for each phase of work. Specify who is responsible for achieving each milestone and when these milestones need to be completed. Example, a timeline for software development project could include milestones such as Milestone 1, initial design and planning phase completed, due in 2 weeks. Milestone 2, prototype version delivered for testing, due in month 2. Milestone 3, final product delivered and ready for deployment, due in 4 months. Number 5, specify roles and responsibilities. Clearly articulate the role the contractor or the subrecipient will be assigned in the project and the resources needed to include staffing, equipment, and other materials the contractor is responsible for providing. Specify what your team or organization will provide. For example, if the contractor needs access to certain facilities, equipment, or data, be sure to define this up front. It's also good to identify internal and external points of contact or reporting and accountability structures. Now let's step outside of drafting the scope of work to talk about team composition and skills. Take some time to define the best match for a subrecipient or contractor partner. Here's some areas you may want to also consider. Number 1, determine the institutions and contractors needed to fulfill the objectives and deliverables you've scoped for the project. Think about the essential qualifications. What expertise, services, experience, skills, education are required and at what quantity? Think about preferred qualifications. What additional attributes would give a subrecipient or contractor an edge over others, should you have multiple options? Think about success attributes. What soft skills or service, communication styles will be the best match for your organization and this project? And any physical requirements, environmental or regulatory considerations. And think about what are the communication channels and technical tools used. Is proficiency in these tools required or just helpful?
Hi there, my name is Jimmy Rayford. I'm the head of product and R&D at Noria Energy. We are a solar development and technology company that specializes in floating solar. Our team takes a structured approach to ensure that each team member has the right experience for their role in the project. We start by outlining the key tasks and milestones we want to achieve, then assign roles based on specific criteria, including past project experience, availability during the project, and relevant knowledge in the field. After assigning these roles, we identify remaining gaps in knowledge, resources, or experience, and fill those gaps by creating a list of potential external partners by leveraging our networks and conducting additional research. We often use requests for information or RFIs to better understand the capabilities of a potential partner and determine how they could support the project effectively.
Now let's talk about building the team, finding a contractor or subrecipient options for you. Once you know the roles, expertise, and skills needed for the project, it's time to find your partner options. The places to start for DOE expertise are the DOE teaming list, national labs, and to expand from there, you can also work through appropriate university hubs and colleges, startup communities or tech hubs or trade schools, or even association member lists or licensure lists. As you land on top matches for your project, you will want to finalize the vetting of the subrecipient to select the best candidate. This vetting can include an interview with your internal founding team. It can include work samples, client or professional references, and licensure or certification verification.
We've worked with both private contractors as well as 2 federally funded research and development centers, or FFRDCs, specifically the National Renewable Energy Lab and Pacific Northwest National Lab. We use several different resources to explore teaming options for a given funding opportunity announcement, but often we find that reaching out directly to a particular office at the Department of Energy or an FFRDC is a great way to find researchers that are working in a similar field and are excited to collaborate on the projects.
Then we want to finalize the scope of work. Once you know the roles, expertise, and skills needed for the project, it's time to find your partner options. So, going back to the scope of work, we're going to talk about oversight of contractors and subrecipients, communication, collaboration, accountability, and compliance. Once you've connected with, vetted, and selected the subrecipient or contractor partners, you're ready to finalize the scope of work to include agreed upon payment terms, communication and reporting expectations, and terms and conditions. So the 6th step in the scope of work, define payment terms and structure. Establish clear payment terms and cadence of payments. If relevant, you can include incentives for early completion or penalties for late delivery. Payment terms can be tied to the satisfactory completion of key deliverables or performance benchmarks. Define the conditions under which the project will be considered complete. This could include final inspections, testing, and a review of all deliverables. And establish when the final payment will be made. In other words, an example could be after final acceptance of deliverables or approval by a project manager. 7th step, specify communication and reporting expectations. Define how often you expect updates and what type of communication is preferred. Emails, meetings, written reports, include who will be responsible for providing these updates, set expectations for how the contractor will report progress on the project, including frequency, format, and content of the reports. 8. Terms and conditions. Ensure the scope of work complies with the relevant laws, regulations, and DOE-specific requirements, including environmental standards, labor laws, safety protocols, and more. This is also where you can include IP protection and confidentiality language. Specify the process for terminating the contract or resolving disputes. What are the conditions under which either party can end the agreement, and how will disagreements be handled? Determine the communication channels. Select and implement project management tools to assign accountability and track progress and budget. Define the key performance indicators or KPIs you are tracking. Outline and oversee compliance and regulatory requirements. Think through and document risk management and contingency plans. Leverage key advisors, contract and IP attorneys, Department of Energy and Grant Regulations subject matter experts or SMEs, and accountants. Much of this has been thought about as you put together the scope of work, but it's good to flesh this out and document the details in your policies, standard operating procedures or SOPs, and your tools, resources, and key contacts list. A best practice is to create an onboarding and orientation plan as different partners join the project. This helps to highlight or emphasize key areas of alignment.
We typically hold regular meetings to keep everyone updated and aligned on project goals. To facilitate the smooth collaboration, we use repositories for file sharing and assign clear points of contact and methods of communications for each organization. We also use tools like Gantt charts to ensure the team meets deadlines, and RACI tables to define roles and responsibilities, which helps maintain accountability across the various teams. To minimize potential project risks, we involve multiple stakeholders from different teams for crucial work streams. This reduces reliance on a single individual and enhances project continuity. This strategy can prove invaluable when key team members are away from the project, ensuring critical tasks are completed without disruption.
Let's talk about project insights and building strong partnerships. Ultimately, completing the thought work and scoping and executing on oversight and best practices is the most direct path to completing a grant-funded project on time, within budget, while remaining financially compliant. In addition to those overarching goals, it's good to keep in mind you're building relationships and knowledge that will help you continue to grow in the future. Partners selected can be people or institutions you work with again, and can even grow into advisors, board members, employees, or ambassadors for your product or service in the market. Additionally, no project will be executed perfectly, and that provides learning lessons for your founding team that can be built on for this endeavor and beyond.
Often the most challenging part of the federal grant application process is keeping track of all of the application components for a large team. So we've built a simple tool that helps us manage the application process and made sure that it's flexible enough so we can apply it to future grant opportunities. Our advice is to start the team forming process early and really focus on project objectives when building the team's scope of work. One of the valuable lessons we learned is that involving multiple stakeholders across both industry and government broadens the project impacts and opens up more resources available to you during the project.
Closing and key takeaways. Congratulations on completing Building Your Team and Working with Subrecipients and Contractors learning module. Let's take a moment to review the key points we covered. The importance of teaming. We discussed how collaborating with subrecipients and contractors can enhance your team, bringing in the expertise and resources needed to achieve your project goal. Defining scope of work. You learn the importance of clearly defining objectives, tasks, deliverables, performance standards, and milestones to ensure accountability and alignment throughout the project. Teaming, process, and selection. We explored how to identify the right partners, vet their qualifications, and match their skills to your project needs, ensuring a strong foundation for collaboration. Oversight and best practices. Finally, we covered strategies for maintaining clear communication, managing accountability, complying with legal and regulatory requirements to keep your project on track. By applying these tools and strategies, you'll be well equipped to build effective teams, define clear scopes of work, and establish productive relationships with contractors and subrecipients. These skills are not only critical for the success of your current projects, but also for fostering long-term partnerships and continued growth in your field. Thank you for participating in this learning module, and I look forward to seeing the impact you'll make with these skills.